Hello, this is a very exciting location to be doing a video from. So I'm currently in Doha, staying in the Ritz, no less. So very nice. So today I feel much more important than I am. But in times like this, we need to bring ourselves back to the centre. It's very important to continue to practice our good daily habits, and one of those being mindfulness, which is the topic of today's video. So this is going to be the first in a quite a long series of videos, I think, which will just discuss mindfulness and kind of complete beginnings, and then kind of taking you through to more progressive approaches. So mindfulness is really just the idea of coming back to the present. So it's basically the Western term for meditation. Quite often in the mindfulness literature, you'll hear things said like, when we look in the future, we get anxious, and when we look in the past, we get depressed, which can happen. But you can also, if you look in the past, you can be quite grateful, and when you look in the future, you can also be excited. So it's not that that not being in the present is a bad thing, and also it's not necessarily a bad thing to get to look back in the past and see things that weren't great, because this obviously allows you to evaluate that and look at ways you can improve things in the future. And if you are anxious about things in the future as well, if you can come back and think about why you're anxious about those and what you can do to sort of mitigate against your anxieties, then that can actually be really useful. So sometimes I feel like some of the writing in this area can be a little bit black and white, like if you're not in the present, then things are wrong. You should always live in the present. It's not truly accurate, I don't think. But nonetheless, being able to come back to the present allows us to, if we do that regularly, it allows us to do that consciously at times when we find ourselves being a bit stuck in the past or the future in a potentially negative way. And it also seems to make us better people, which is obviously a huge claim. And the evidence around this, we're still beginning to really understand this, but it certainly appears that the more time we can spend in the present, and particularly in very relaxed, sort of more mindful, meditative states, that we are more able to access the higher centres of our brain on a regular basis. The way that will manifest, what you'll actually see in everyday life, is when somebody cuts you up and you're stressed, you're anxious, you've been eating badly, you think, who the F are you, blah, 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 and you react in a very stressful reptilian, more hindbrain type way. Whereas if you've been meditating, staying at the Ritz, you're well fed and everything's going very well for you, then when someone cuts you up, you think, oh, what's going on with them? They must have had a bad day. I wonder if they've had, you try and understand that person, understand the situation rather than reacting to it straight away. So that's the purpose really of mindfulness. You often hear from clients, I was chatting to my sister about this the other day, and I was talking to her about meditation, and she was saying, oh, it's not really for me, I just don't feel I can do it. And the people who struggle the most with meditation are the ones who need it the most. So if the trouble being probably the type of person who clicks on a video like this, unless I've directed them to look at this, you're already interested in it, so you're already kind of the people who almost need it less. It's still very beneficial for you, but it's the people who won't click on this video that really need it, and if you can't, you must, is generally a quite a good rule, obviously with a lot of caveats. So the key really then when starting a mindfulness practice is to start really basic. If you try and sit down and pretend you're the Buddha for an hour, you're going to get bored out of your mind unless you're incredibly focused and an incredible person really. But for most of us, you want to start very simple and gradually build up. So the easiest way to start building your mindfulness-based practice is to pick a daily task and just to focus on the immediate sensations around that. So the one I start a lot of people off with and recommend is brushing your teeth. So all you're going to do is, while you brush your teeth, you're just going to stay present in the moment. So all that might look like is you might just focus on your breath. So that's a very typical thing in a lot of mindfulness meditative practices is just to bring your concentration on your breath. Just feel the inhalation and focus on the sensations around breath. So it's very much just bringing the mind back into the present. And because you're focusing on this, you're not thinking about anxieties in the future or things you're depressed about in the past, but you're just focusing on the immediate present. And so you might feel the sensation of the air coming down the throat. You might feel the expansion of the diaphragm. You might feel the movement in the ribs. And just focusing on these immediate sensations around that. And then from there you might broaden out and feel the sensations in your feet, and what if the feet feel like on the floor. You might feel the bristles and the toothbrush on your teeth. You might feel the tastes, the smells. We're focusing on sensations in the immediate present. You then will 100%, unless you're an absolute hero, your mind will start to drift off. You'll look in the mirror and you'll be like, oh God, what's that spot? Oh no, have I been eating bad? This is just me, my internal monologue. But you'll start to think about, you'll drift out, and that 100% will happen. And everybody who meditates, this will happen to, even the absolute best people. And all you do is you just acknowledge that you're going to lose concentration. Your mind will drift. We don't have complete and utter control over our minds, whatever some people will tell you. We have a degree of free won't, but a discussion of the literature around that is for another day. But don't judge yourself for that. Another very good meditative practice, practicing non-judgment. But just bring yourself back and know that you're going to lose your concentration, but you're going to remind yourself to come back to just the breath every time. And if you do that, you've had a successful session. And sometimes it will be really hard, and it will be a continual struggle. And every now and then it will start to feel a little bit easier. It'll be really hard when you've drunk too much coffee, when you haven't slept enough, when you've got a lot of stress, you've been eating poorly. And it'll be much easier when you're having a nice relaxing time and there's money in the bank and everything's going well for you. So that can often be quite easy kind of way to remember things. You will also forget sessions. That's why it's good to do it. Pick a daily task you do twice a day. Something like, say, ironing, which you might do once a day, can be a bit more difficult because if you miss it the first time, you've missed it for the day. You could obviously then do another task. But then if you do your brushing the teeth in the evening, it gives you a chance to get it back. And that will be the first meditative task. Any questions, feel free to comment or email me at kieran@kieranmcphail.com. And a mindfulness practice, very useful. I'll discuss maybe another time the literature around mindfulness and back pain, which is my focus. But it's a very, very useful activity to start. Generally speaking, it will make you a better person. All the best. Bye.